Griffin here in studio with us. Right
Jesus, Griffin.
High school
actually voted
with a fake mustache. Yeah.
A number of women who we were able to speak with. So set up a little bit for us what you asked them and what your general
borrowed his
takeaways
dad's
and
suit.
thoughts
What is
were.
going on, man?
Yeah, without giving like too much of a spoiler, it was interesting because like for Trump, the reasons were all pretty much
This
the
is
same.
not a real
It was
person.
Immigration, it was wars, and it was like the economy. With AOC, it seemed to be more of her personality, her charisma, and kind of like her like celebrity star status, but also just like this feeling that they felt like she was real, that she was real, and that she like actually cared. So that was really interesting. It was a range of voters. There was some people who were high information, like they've been tracking it for about a year, and some people who kind of made their decision within like the last day or two. But yeah, the range of answers, as we'll see in just a second, were pretty similar from the majority of the voters.
All right, well, let's go ahead and take a listen to what they had to say.
This is New York? Yeah.
Why did you vote for both Trump and AOC in 2024?
It was definitely
Because
Queens.
America needs a role model, and I think Donald Trump is a role model.
The border, you know, the people.
Can we stop
coming to-
crazy?
Why are you laughing? What's
That
funny?
lady's crazy.
Let-
how is
let-
Donald Trump a
let-
role model?
Them finish. Let them finish. And I'll explain. I'll explain. I'll let them
Grab
explain.
him by the you know what is a role model.
She ain't say nothing about that. She talk about other stuff.
Don't rent to black people. It's a role model.
Where did that come from? We talking about 2024. Anyway, let's finish. Let's finish.
Past doesn't matter.
U.S.
Of course it does.
illegally, the murders, everything, all the crimes are increasing.
The Democrats really haven't done
See that?
anything.
She said
for us
close
to
the border.
actually make the situation worse in New York. So I thought this time around, let's just give Trump, a chance. Maybe, he can make things better.
He's very business minded, and I also feel that being that he has these connections with other leaders, it can prevent war from happening in the future.
When Trump first came, those 4 years, it was, ups and downs, but it was nowhere, it was no war. We didn't have any fight with other countries.
How does AOC fit into that picture?
She's like that sister.
So wait, are we fighting a new country now? Like I wish.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's pushback. I haven't seen this video. Hopefully they push back on some of the dumb stuff that they're saying so far.
Well, let's finish it and then we'll run through it. Let's just see.
always defend you. She'll.
So I doubt it's that
fight,
long.
She'll scream till a bloody pulp if she had to. She's truly a fighter.
Is there a little bit of like a New York realness that they both share? Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So much that they could be like brother and sister almost.
I like that they're very
What?
outspoken. They really have, I think, no filter.
If you look at Joe Biden, there are a lot of things probably he wouldn't understand about our generation or the future generation. And also Donald Trump as well. He's aged too. So we need someone above and beyond, like more new generation and would understand more.
I just voted for her, honestly, because the other people I didn't know about, and her I just always hear about. It's like crazy. So I thought, she's a familiar name. Let me just vote for her.
My mother was like, vote for her, so I was like, okay.
That's great. That's
go
enough.
against the
Listen to your
moms.
mom. Could you compare Kamala and AOC for me? What is the difference between the two of them?
I just feel that Kamala has a position as a vice president already, and I don't feel like she did much in the position that she held for the last 4 years. I feel like she used entertainers for promotion, and I didn't like that at all.
She doesn't bring anything.
All right, let's pause right there. Because I don't know how long this video is, but so far, what were you going to say before? What issues are you having
I
here?
feel like they're wrong about literally everything that they've said so far.
Fair. Give me, all right, so like what?
He's not a role model. I mean, that is subjective, but I would like to hear why someone would think he's a role model other than he's a billionaire. And then I can't say any of this really makes sense. It's just the AOC and Trump might well be brother and sister. Like they don't agree on anything.
I
And I'm
mean,
pretty sure
I
AOC
don't know
would
where
be comfortable being in the same room with Trump.
I have no idea where the brother and sister comment even came from, but family disagree and agree on things all the time. So I don't know. I don't know where she's coming from with that. But like as far as like the reasons why have they even gotten to it really? Like why they would vote for AOC and Trump? I mean, some of them kind of mention it. Like what do you disagree with about why they would vote for AOC and Trump? Like the black girl just now, what she just said, I've made that argument. You've made that argument. They're in office right now. Well, Kamala was, and I don't think she's doing a good job. I don't think anyone thinks they were doing a good job. And then the fact that she would bring out celebrities, that the same play the Democrats do every time, especially when they're pandering to minorities, and it really drives me insane. It's disrespectful. They tried out Megan Thee Stallion to twerk on the stage in Atlanta. I'm gonna keep bringing it up because it's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous.
That was kind of lame. I mean, but did you find like Eminem's like little speech?
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't
as corny or as whatever.
I was so burnt out of the celebrity speeches for Kamala. I did not even watch the Eminem one. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I'm not watching it. It's like I didn't tune in.
I don't think that's a real not what you're saying, but like as far as from actual right wingers, I don't think that's a real criticism because Trump would have done it if he had real celebrities. Like he did it, but he's got D-list celebrities like Kid Rock and Dennis Quaid and you know more people on that level. Right. If he had Taylor Swift or if he had a Beyonce, he would do it. He just doesn't have any big celebrities.
You know what? Fair argument, but I think the issue that I have with that, or the way I see it at least, is that it comes off for the left at least. It comes off as pandering because they do it every election, and they always bring certain demographics to pander to certain demographics, and it comes off again. This is the issue that I have with Democrats and the left right now. Everything they do just seems disingenuous, and it's always just identity politics over and over again. And to me, as a black man, it's incredibly disrespectful. I'm tired of seeing it, that anytime election season rolls around, they trot out these quote unquote black celebrities. And it's always like, to be honest, the most ratchet people who Megan Thee Stallion, I will never get over this, twerking on stage in Atlanta in our home state is disrespectful, bro. And like, come on, man. They put someone up there to tap dance in front of us. Republicans don't really do that. They do, if they had better celebrities or more, I guess, mainstream celebrities.
I think that's just as corny. Ripping your shirt off.
Twerking.
But I get what you're saying. I think both of them
are
corny stuff.
I will not compare ripping his shirt off because that's something that he does. Yes, Megan Thee Stallion twerks to Megan Thee Stallion twerking. To me, Megan Thee Stallion twerking in front of a predominantly black audience in a predominantly black city is incredibly disrespectful to the voters. The Hulk Hogan walking out there and doing the Hulk Hogan thing, tearing the shirt off. Okay, like that's what he does.
I mean, they
like,
both
it's
did
like
their signature move. You just
her signature
like,
move is twerking.
Yeah, that's her signature move. I didn't tell
I'm just saying, like, and then, so what's Glorilla's signature move? Is it twerking too?
Looking weird. That's
okay, I'm recording. You know that, right?
Her eyes being too far apart. That's her
like what? Like
move.
no, but seriously, like you surely you see how that, like, that's disrespectful. They think it's like to me it comes up like they think that we're stupid and they just put somebody up there to tap dance. The way Sanders
treated Cardi B was better because I didn't like Cardi B beforehand.
Me neither.
I mean, I don't care about her now, but to me, the way Cardi B could actually have conversations with Sanders and give a point of view, I was like, okay, she's not as dumb as she tries to seem. Like she's smarter than she looks.
You're the first person I've ever heard say that Cardi B is smarter than she looks. I mean,
if you actually watch her when she was a Sanders surrogate,
I did.
16
I remember.
and 20.
Me and you talked about
it. I thought she was a complete idiot, you know, a dumber Barbie than Nicki Minaj. But she actually said some fair points to the Sanders agenda.
Me and you talked about it. I want to go back and watch those clips of her with Bernie and endorsing Bernie or whatever with new eyes because we both know, because me and you spoke about this, she was an idiot. She was an idiot. I found it disrespectful then. It's like, I can't believe they're putting freaking whatever. I can't believe they're putting her on the main stage, pandering to rappers and pandering to minorities. Like, nobody wants to listen to her. I thought it was stupid then. I think she's stupid now. Her speech now was terrible. I couldn't even get through it. It was so cringy.
With a Meg Thee Stallion, Eminem, you know, all these rappers, I think they try to get like the young or youngish non-voters. I don't think it works, but I think that's their goal.
This is true. This has always been their goal. Like, even obviously when we were kids, like the whole Get Out the Vote campaign, of course, it's the target, you know, and it's always Democrats that push it because they want to target younger voters because that's their demographic. That's how they win elections. The problem I have with it is that when they target these young voters, especially when it comes to the black community, they always put to the forefront, I'm going to be honest, the worst of us. I do not think our rappers are supposed to be representing us. They do not make black people. The average black family is not like Glorilla. They're not like Megan the Stallion. It's disrespectful. And as I've gotten older, I'm getting tired of seeing it. Like it makes me sick. Like it's ridiculous. There's plenty.
It depends on the person.
Of other people
I
to
don't
pick.
mind Killer Mike being anywhere. Like I don't mind being on Bill Maher or wherever else.
I agree.
He actually
yeah
has something to say and he
but
has experience.
He's
to back
totally
it up.
different than like Glorilla, bro. Like
Yeah,
Glorilla was
Well,
up there.
I don't think I've ever seen Glorilla talk. So I don't
Good,
know.
good. Don't look it up. Like, it was horrible. Like I'm just so sick of seeing that. So I don't know. But anyway, let's see.
She used entertainers for promotion, and I didn't like that at all.
She doesn't bring anything to the table. Even if she was a first woman president, she doesn't know what she's doing. And she's going to, not give us a bad name, but it's just, we're going to go from bad to worse. Because I feel like our country's doing so bad now.
AOC really tells you what she's going to do rather than Kamala, where she's just more broad. If you're going to change the world, if you're going to run for president, start now. You have your vice president now. You can start now. Tell us what you're going to do.
How do you feel about the war in Gaza? How do you feel that the U.S. and how they've handled it? And did that affect your vote at all?
In a big way, yes. We just don't want any war, and we don't want innocent lives to be killed without any reason.
It's crazy what's going on there, and we need to fix it. It needs to stop. And I think Donald Trump will be able to maneuver it. I hope he does.
New York have so many issues here with high rent and.
Why are you laughing? What did she say that was crazy? Hold on, let me go back.
Trump himself said that Harris and Biden weren't doing enough to support Netanyahu. So all he's going to do is give him even more bombs, more
I agree
guns,
with this.
more drones. Like I understand. I didn't do it, but I understand like the Jill Stein people. Like if someone's an Arab or a Muslim or an ally to them, and they're like, okay, screw Harris, screw Trump. I'm going green, or I'm going Cornel West, or I'm choosing the couch. I get that, but choosing Trump is just pouring gasoline on the fire.
When it comes to Israel versus Palestine, yeah, I agree. I do agree with that.
I hope he does.
New York have so many issues here with high rent and working all the time. Like, it's like you care about it, but you have so many other major important things going on in your life that just comes before that. And it's just sad to say.
Do you think that Trump is anti-war?
I'm not sure.
I don't think President Trump wants to make war with anyone.
If Trump was in office during that time, we wouldn't. A lot of things that are going on with the migrants, the war, I just don't believe a lot of these things would be going on.
If Trump had been president, I really don't think it would have gotten this far.
Would you vote for AOC for president as a Democrat?
Yeah, I would give it a chance.
I mean, I don't say that.
I'm pausing because this just brought up something else. I think we talked about it earlier, how they were saying that AOC might potentially want to run for office in 2028. What do you think about that? I think it's an awful decision. I think it will be terrible. But what do you think?
I hadn't heard that before actually, but it's a mixed bag because I think she has so much like hate and baggage and dislike toward her, but also I don't know if that matters because I don't think those people would have ever voted blue anyway. I think they were going to either be red or the couch, no matter who the nominee is. If she goes at it from a Sanders point of view, let's get corruption out. If she goes at it like aggressively, like because before when she came into the politics, she was like, I'm going to challenge the status quo and do this and that. And then 4 years later, she's calling Nancy Pelosi Mama Bear. Like if you go back to being a fighter and a challenger, kind of like Sanders in 2016. And have that type of agenda, she definitely could have a shot.
I think
she's like, increase the minimum wage, universal health care, focusing on being a left populist. And people actually believe it because I didn't believe Harris when she was like, we're going to tax the rich and then lower taxes on the middle class and the working class. Like it's nice to say. But Obama saying that, Hillary saying that, I wouldn't believe really anyone saying that besides a progressive. I don't believe it. I don't believe a neoliberal will do that. So I think AOC does have an advantage there, being a progressive rather than a neoliberal.
I agree. I mean, I might have mentioned it before, but she has too much baggage. Like when she came in, yeah, I did view her as like the progressive wing of the party. This is what we needed. This is what the direction we need to go. But she has done too much and honestly burnt too many bridges that she is viewed as blue MAGA. Like she is like the poster child for blue MAGA, whether it's true or not. And I think there's no way, regardless of if she shifts back to previous policies or previous stances, there's no way that she can get rid of this persona that people have made for her, that she's built for herself. It just wouldn't work. Like I think if somehow she is the nominee and they push AOC, I think they've not learned anything. And I'm coming from the stance of Democrats don't want to win elections. They don't like winning. They always routinely shoot themselves in the foot. Even if AOC tried her hardest to go back to being the progressive she was or whatever, or being viewed that way and not so much into the whole crazy thing. She just recently removed the pronouns from her bio. Yeah, I saw that too. Funny. But if she went and did that, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. She has too much baggage tied to her already. I think it would be dumb for Democrats to do that. If they do it, it just proves again that they never learn. They never learn. So
I would say it shows that they are learning, because they would be trying something new. Because this would be the first time a progressive made it that far. Like all the other ones are neoliberals. Like it's never been a progressive who made it to the top of the ticket.
I think if they were trying,
which is what is needed.
I think if they were trying something new, that's great. But they need to try something new with someone new. You cannot pick.
I would recommend that. I would say go a progressive who has less baggage.
Yeah, you cannot pick someone who has had. I don't even know how long she's been in office so far, but like who has been attacked from every angle for so long. Like no, it's just dumb. It's like don't pick Gavin Newsom either. He got a nickname.
No,
don't pick him. Like it just doesn't. I seriously hope they don't do that. But
yeah, like as we've talked about, like even before Biden dropped out, because like these are two choices, these two guys who brains hardly work, Trump and Biden. Like I wanted Jon Stewart then, and I still want him to be the candidate, 4 years from now. But if it wasn't Jon Stewart, then I do think like Tim Walz has a good shot, like him naturally, like the way he showed up the first month of the Harris campaign was more so the natural Tim Walz. I feel like the Biden people and Clinton people got there after the DNC convention and told them like to calm down, like don't do this, don't do that. So the vibes were better. Like when the first month or two, Harris ran. But once she started getting advice from Hillary, which is crazy to me, like why get advice from someone who lost? But once she started taking Hillary advice and Biden advice, that's when, and being with Liz Cheney, like I saw Liz Cheney more in August and September than I saw Walz or Sanders. Like if I was Harris, instead screw Liz Cheney, like I would take her endorsement and Dick Cheney's endorsement, sure, but it would just be like a one sentence, like okay, I appreciate anyone who votes for me, and that's the end of it. Like I'm not going to go city to city with a war criminal's daughter.
Right. The Tim Walz thing, I said in another video, like if we had to pick now or go back and pick, I would have picked him at the top of the ticket because he seemed more mature. But looking into the future, I would never pick Tim Walz. Because they've already attacked him for being crazy. Like if they view him as crazy.
What did he do crazy?
The whole, like, what was it? The tampons in the boys' restroom thing? No.
But that's not true.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
The truth doesn't matter?
No, the truth definitely matters, but winning matters. I'm telling you, if they pick...
Most people haven't heard of that.
Yes, they have.
Yes, they have. And that could easily be... If he win again, they could ask him in an interview, and he can easily say how that's not true. Everyone has something negative about him.
When it comes, especially again, I'm telling you, this is populism. I'm telling you right now, and especially with people on social media, they think he's crazy. they think he's crazy. Whether let me finish. We could look it up and see if the whole bathroom thing is true or not. But that's just one thing. I know there's a few other things. We can do something on Tim Walz, because I personally, before all this other stuff, did like him. Like I've heard of him like previously. Like one of my friends was telling me about him years ago or whatever. But that's fine. But I'm saying I'm looking at it from the point, if Democrats and progressives want to win an election, you need a new candidate. You need someone who comes out of the gates as a progressive, who actually is a populist, has populist positions, is not seen as crazy, is not seen as quote unquote woke. And I hate that term, but it has to be someone new. And unfortunately, I'm telling you, I don't think Tim Walz is that person. I don't think.
Pick, but just out of the existing pool of people, I would probably he would make the short list at least as far as candidates in the primary. I'm not saying he should be necessarily the top of the ticket,
right.
But I mean he's a governor, so he's actually ran something because pretty much these senators and congressmen are just passing bills or proposing bills. So being a governor, I think, does help. It's just good practice for being a president. And then the things he did while in Minnesota, making paid family leave and I believe pre-K, universal pre-K, and things on that line of things. To me that makes sense. To me he is pretty much the same as Bernie Sanders. They pretty much agree on 97% of things. So
if this was
someone liking Sanders and not liking Walz doesn't really make sense.
If this was 10 years ago, I would say yeah. Even 5 years ago, sure. But again, I generally don't think that there would need to be a major shift in where people's brains are and where people are thinking when it comes to politics and populism and the economy for me to say that any candidate, left or right, especially left, because we're talking about the left, who has any name recognition right now and who has any negative feedback on them, especially just calling them woke or crazy, should step away from any opportunity or positioning themselves to run for president in 2028. Unless something changes. If someone is calling you crazy and they're saying this with the tampons in the boys' restroom, whether it's true or false, you should just know. I'm telling you, just
even if
don't
Joe
care.
Manchin ran against Trump would make up stuff and call him a communist.
You said Joe Manchin? Bro.
Yeah, Joe Manchin, anybody, whoever his enemy is a communist, is a socialist, is a Maoist.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Make up stuff about everything.
Let me ask you a question, because what you just said kind of proves my point with something. You just said the exact thing that Democrats do. Anybody who they did make up stories about Trump. They did make up stories about Trump supporters. They did call Trump supporters fascists and Nazis. You're doing the same thing. Both sides do it. The problem I'm saying is that if you want to win, the objective should be to win. It doesn't matter if it's a lie. It's what people believe or how many votes you can get from saying something. They don't care. The left doesn't care and the right don't care. They both yap. They both lie. They both make up stuff about each party. The issue is Democrats like to lose. They refuse to do what's going to make them win. This is why they didn't pick Bernie, because they're stupid. We've seen it. Me and you have seen this time. It's both. They're corrupt and stupid. Me and you have seen it time and time again. If I'm running anyone's campaign, say I'm the head of the DNC and I'm like, we need to pick a candidate. Anybody who had any name recognition over the past 10 years, who any Republican called a woke progressive, and has negative feedback, get out. Leave the room. You have nothing to do with this. We are finding a new candidate, fresh blood, and we are pushing he or her or whomever it may be to the forefront, and that is it. And we're going to control this, and you're going to be a populist, and you're going to win back those blue collar voters who for generations actually voted Democrat. The ones that Bernie would have gotten. We're going to win them back. All this other stuff, I'm sorry, y'all got to go. Y'all got to go. We are here to win. We're not here to do this nonsense.
All they need to do is win the Midwest again.
Yeah,
that's mainly what they need to do. Which Sanders would have done in 16 or 20 because he didn't sign NAFTA. So he would have got the Rust Belt to be blue again. And I do think Tim Walz would have not to put all my chips in the Tim Walz basket. I'm just using him as an example. But the way he comes across. The way he comes across to a normal person is like this Midwestern dad. If people think he seems like some purple-haired, woke Twitter person, then like I said, they just believe in propaganda.
Yeah, some of them are, but I got to be honest, man. I don't think the vast majority of the electorate saw Tim Walz as this Midwestern dad. I know the Democrats tried to push that narrative for him, but they didn't.
The numbers show different. Because out of the four at the top of the ticket, between Harris, Walz, Trump, and Vance, Walz always had the highest numbers between the four of them.
I think I don't think that has anything to do with them viewing him as a Midwestern dad. I think they have to view him as they were viewing him as the more competent politician. Like that's the same way I saw him when I saw the presidential and vice presidential debate. The vice presidential debate was boring, but I even said I might have said it to you too. I said that should be the top of both tickets because whether you agree or disagree with both of them.
Vance was at
no,
the
but I'm
bottom.
saying like I could tell that these two candidates, Vance and Walz, seemed like they should be at the top of their tickets. They seemed like they were actually debating points. They both had their different arguments. They both had their different positions, but it was clear to me at least, and I think to a lot of people, that yeah, they should have been at the top of the ticket. However, moving forward, I'm sorry, but I would steer clear of him. I really would. I would try to find somebody else.
Because it comes back to why she lost. And I mean, we disagree on why she lost. For me, a Tim Walz or whoever else that's a progressive would wake up the base and make up for those and largely white women who didn't show up by saying like, okay, here's free college, here's increasing minimum wage, here's daycare, here's paid family leave, and so on. Like they aren't going to care about these white women who voted for Biden in 20 but didn't vote for Harris last month. Earlier this month, they're not going to be like, oh, I'm not voting for Walz because I heard some tampon rumor. They're going to see like, okay, this guy is actually talking about this, saying there's agenda, and he has the history to back it up. Like, there's another problem with Harris. She doesn't really have the history because is she a neoliberal? Yeah. Is she a progressive? Sometimes she pretends to be a progressive. Like Walz has that history to back it up, just like Sanders does.
Like I said, I think if this was like a few years ago, great. But I generally don't believe that there are enough of those voters to make a difference. He could do whatever he wants. Unless there's a major shift in the political movements, if we're still in this populist era that we're in right now, to me, it doesn't matter. I honestly think that history has shown this. We've had Trump twice. He's ran 3 times. I'm telling you. And then even Bernie was clearly the candidate. That's what, 4 elections where we've had this populist movement. Unless it changes next time, I don't see it happening. I generally don't. And so
I agree. It needs to be a populist.
Yeah, but I'm saying like it needs to be a fresh populist. It cannot be somebody with baggage already on them. It cannot be somebody who the right, and this is strictly me coming from the point I want to win, who the right already has their eyes set on, who they already know how to make an argument against them, and like it or not, has proven that it does help them win elections. Walz was on that ticket too, right? He was there. Some people didn't vote for them because of Walz. It doesn't matter. It does. It does.
Trump, even Trump said it doesn't matter much.
Who cares? It's BS. It's true. You really think some liberals didn't vote for Trump because of JD Vance? Yeah, they did, because they don't like JD Vance. Even you said he's crazy. Yeah, it does matter, but it does matter. It does matter. But I'm saying is be objective. You can't say it doesn't matter, but then a few days ago, JD, they didn't vote for it. Part of it was because JD Vance. It does matter. That's why. That's why she should have picked Shapiro or whoever. Yes, it does. That's why they should. It doesn't matter that much, but it definitely matters. That's why some people were arguing that she should have picked Shapiro. I think she still would have lost, but it matters. It matters. It does.
Josh Shapiro's a neoliberal. It doesn't. Maybe it would have helped her a little bit in Pennsylvania.
That was the point. She lost Pennsylvania.
She barely won Minnesota, and Walz is the governor there.
But that's the point.
If she won Pennsylvania but lost Minnesota and everything else stayed the same, she still wouldn't have won.
She wasn't going to win anyway. But the point is, historically, you pick a candidate who can win you a state because you're always trying to win the election. But Democrats refuse to do this. And I'm saying moving forward, you need to pick a candidate who's going to win you an election, even if it matters a little bit. Had she won Pennsylvania, she still could have had a chance. But I just think she was going to win regardless. So that's just a fugazi. It's fairy dust. It never would have happened.
Trump winning and having the worst VP pick, just going by the numbers, going by favorability and likability and all the numbers that showed up. JD Vance was historically even worse than Sarah Palin. He had worse numbers than Sarah Palin, but Trump won. So it's kind of hard to say if the VP matters or not.
What do you mean? What do you mean? You're it's like you're making 2 arguments for the same thing. So you've said no, but listen, you said and you've said this before, that you don't like JD Vance because he's crazy. And then I turn around and I say, well, yeah, VP picks actually do matter. And you say, oh, no, not really. It doesn't matter who you picked. There are people who didn't vote for Trump specifically because of JD Vance, and he still won. The vice presidential pick definitely matters, even if it's a little bit. Every vote matters. Every move you make matters. And for the Republicans, it worked. And it's worked on the multiple.
I mean, if you want to be
clearly
literal,
it was.
Yeah, I'm sure 100 people here, 100 people there didn't vote for Trump because of Vance, but I don't think it was anything substantial.
Yeah, it was. If it wasn't substantial, AOC and her campaign wouldn't have been running on the campaign trail calling them weird. You remember how weird they? Oh, he's weird. He's weird. If it didn't matter, they wouldn't have been doing that. See, but that's what I'm saying. You're even admitting it. So clearly, it mattered. If somebody didn't matter, but if something didn't matter, you wouldn't care about it. You wouldn't target it at all. They went for weeks. They went for weeks specifically targeting Vance
because they want to paint both of them that way. So they're hoping.
Yeah, because it matters. Yeah,
I mean, tying it to Trump is what matters.
It's who's tied to Trump? JD Vance, because JD Vance matters. That's why they attacked him. If it didn't matter, they wouldn't attack him. They would just leave him off in the woods somewhere. Like, didn't matter.
Because even before the VP debate, like before and then after, everyone was like, we'll watch it, but does it really matter? Like, even I forgot what channel it was on. I think it was on CNN or whatever else. But even those panelists and those hosts were like, it doesn't really matter. It's a VP.
It's because
debate.
it's the VP debate.
But here's our analyst talking.
Yeah,
about it.
it's because it's the VP debate. That's just the energy of every VP debate. That's how everyone treats a VP debate.
Because the VP doesn't really
yes, it does. Yes, it does. The debate doesn't matter because it's the top of the ticket that really matters. But who you pick does matter. It does. That's why literally they were arguing that she should pick Shapiro. It does matter.
Because they thought it would help her win Pennsylvania.
Yes.
So it matters in Pennsylvania because she's the governor of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. That's why it matters. That's why it matters. How can you say it doesn't matter? Of course it matters. Everything matters. The debate is what they're saying doesn't matter because no one really watches the VP debate. But the person who was picked still matters. That person is still important.
A little bit. There's nothing major.
It's all good. It's all good. I don't think we're going to finish this video. We'll see.
Men are not equal to men, but I think she might need to work on her education of world news, like her way to communicate about it and the policies and everything. She will be good, maybe.
If Trump were to use like the military, let's say if he were to use the army to start deporting people from cities, is that something that you would support?
I would definitely support that because I think that would be the only way to get the deportation process started. We're talking about criminals. We're talking about mobs. A lot of gang members. And who else would be able to do that but the military?
I think it's a really case by case basis. I feel like a lot of them just come here and get away with things. I don't think the police is doing what they should right now. I really don't think they care.
According to Trump, we will no longer have any more presidents after him.
Does that worry you?
No. Not at all.
Why?
We need to get rid of Congress.
I don't know why she even believes that.
Like everything just needs to be
rewired
and
Oh God! All right. Here we go with this again. You really think that Trump is gonna be king? We've talked about this. There is no reason anyone should believe this. Like, to me, this is like one of the most absurd things I have ever heard. I have ever heard. You took him saying, "Oh, you never have to vote again," as I'm gonna change the rules, and therefore, and every governor, every police chief, every mayor, the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court are all gonna agree, "Hail Trump," and this is gonna happen. Like, bonkers. Yeah. Why? No. You don't believe that. You don't believe this.
To quote Dennis from Always Sunny,
oh my
God.
The
implication.
Oh my God.
Like, what else?
I refuse to believe this. He's talking trash. He's a yapper. He's a well-known yapper. He's a well-known yapper. He won. What risk?
I'm saying, why did Trump voters
he wasn't.
what risk?
What risk? I don't think any Trump voter thought, that's what we're voting for. I don't think a single person who heard him say that was like, oh, he's saying if we vote for him, therefore he's going to be our leader forever. If somebody thinks that, lock him up. That's who you lock up. Open the asylums.
But I'm sure he'll
Open
try.
the asylum. Anybody who believes this, anybody on the right and the left that believes this, open the asylums. You're insane. This is insane. This is never going to happen.
But you don't see any cause to worry, any cause for concern for a presidential candidate to be like, vote for me. We'll never have elections again. Your life.
He did not say we'll never have elections again. He said you won't have to vote again. And I did not take that. Let me finish. I did not take that as, oh, he's gonna no more elections and now he's Assad. I took it as saying everything's gonna be the way that they want it, which actually it is because they have the House, the Senate, Supreme Court nominations, and the presidency. Yeah, that's the way I took it.
For handmaiden tales to come true.
Unbelievable. Open the asylums. This is insane. Hearing like you're not a Midwestern white woman, but it's like the Midwestern white women who are like talking about it's gonna be a Handmaid's Tale. Meanwhile, they're like in the most safe area of the country. Like what? It's just come on.
They're giving
like
them
come
reason
on.
to think. You can't say all this crazy stuff and then when you win,
God.
be like,
God.
you thought the crazy stuff I said was real or was true. Like it could be.
Bro.
It probably is. Some of the Project 2025 stuff is weird, is creepy, is crazy. It's not a conspiracy theory. That's
what is
his campaign? There's video proof that he is going to follow Project 2025.
All right, so we've talked about the whole Project 2025 thing again. How much? Let's make a bet here today. None of that's going to happen. None of it. None of it. None of it's going to happen. He's not going to be king. None of this Project 2025 is going to happen. There aren't going to be Midwestern. There's not going to be Midwestern white women walking around looking like the Handmaid's Tale. It's not going to happen. None of this is going to happen. Okay, like
hopefully not.
I don't even got to say it ain't. It's like a 2% chance. Like to me, it sounds crazy. Like it sounds crazy. Like it literally sounds like echo chamber, fear mongering, and then people have believed this. How in the world could somebody believe this? It sounds insane. It literally does.
We're listening to what the person is saying and the people around him.
Bro, if anybody said like I did not take what he said as you don't have to vote again because now I'm the ruler. He literally said he's saying that you vote for me, you won't have to vote again, meaning that everything that the right wants, they're going to get. Not saying that he's going to be the king. He said,
that doesn't make sense.
It literally did make sense. We should pull up that clip.
Even if he gets everything he wants in the next 4 years, it still matters who wins in 28. Because the person, if Tim Walz, Jon Stewart, whoever the hell it is, they could just undo what he did.
That's not true. They have the majority. True? They have the majority in the House, majority in the Senate. They have the presidency. Yeah, right now. Elections have consequences. Yes or no? He was literally saying you don't have to vote again. The border's going to be fixed. Immigration is going to be. Whether you believe this or not, that's what he was saying. He was not
but these
saying.
Are ongoing issues. It's not like. It's like he said you're gonna be good for the next 4 years. He was like you're gonna be good forever. You're good for your lifetime.
Because they could put that's you're reaching so hard.
It's not like this is only like statement. He's said other crazy and
that he was gonna be king or dictator. You're reaching.
He didn't say that, but he's like the implication.
The implication was that you're gonna get what you want. Not that he was gonna be. That is such an assumption. That is so like I cannot fathom how somebody could wrap their brain around that conversation and be like, yeah,
well, you'll see.
Yeah. Let's see. Mark,
when they try to get rid of term limits for president, you'll see. Let's see.
If it happens, wow, unbelievable. Let me tell you right now, if they try to get rid of term limits for president, this tells me one that Republicans don't have foresight because it's going to be Trump versus Obama. Which that's like probably what they don't want, right? Let me not unpause that. Or what's going to end up happening? It's going to be war. You really think that people that would to me that would start a civil war?
Worried about.
That would you're worried about that, but it's never going to happen. It's insane to think that.
This is not something like TV.
This is what it sounds like.
TV, social media, echo chamber thing. Like literally everyone I know. Friends, family.
You don't think they're in the echo chamber?
Well, I can say girlfriend's family, but pretty much everyone I know is like worried to some degree of is he going to be a fascist? Is he going to try to take over? I never heard anyone say that about people in the past, about either Bushes in the past, about Mitt Romney if he won, if John McCain if he won. I've never heard this talk. It's about Trump exclusively because Trump is exclusively crazy and weird and an egomaniac and so on.
To me, you and whoever in your family, you're in an echo chamber. There's none of this is going. You're talking to one another, and you all believe the same thing. Echo chamber. Like it is not. Sure, it is never going to happen. That it is. There's a 0.000% chance. Because we have the House, we have Congress, we have the judiciary branch, and we have the executive branch. We have those in place for a reason. There's no way he doesn't own them. He doesn't own them. They have the majority. The majority.
Yeah.
They're not even all. Because elections have consequences. So what he was saying was we can put in our policies. He's not going to say, "Oh, you can." I'm gonna get rid of term limits, and not even all the Republicans in the House and the Senate would agree with that. That would never pass. It's never going to happen. Then every state would have to agree on it. That's never going to happen. Like this is, to me, classic fear mongering, but people have literally believed it and they voted on this. And it's crazy.
I just think he'll try it. And just like with January 6th, him trying it is bad enough.
We're gonna come back to this in a few years, and let's see if we're under some fascist dictatorship and Trump is a supreme leader. Trump, all right, and everybody agreed on it. All of our politicians that we voted off, they all agreed on it. This passed, and now we're fascist America under Orange Trump man.
Don't have to go that extreme. I think the things that'll start next year. And some of these that they're talking about in this video, they haven't talked about tax cut for the 1%, but that's the one thing that's definitely going to happen. That's going to be his biggest priority. That's why Elon Musk is creepily hanging around so much. Is it good? The tax cut for the 1% is definitely going to happen. Our taxes might go up. They actually just happened in Louisiana this month, I believe. For as far as I think under 50,000, your taxes went up. And then for the 1%, theirs went down in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. That's going to happen pretty much nationwide. And then what she just talked about as far as the military handling the illegal aliens, like how's that going to look? Like the military, the police are trained to handcuff and apprehend, and they shoot. The military's trained to shoot. They're not trained to apprehend. So it's gonna be bloody and ugly. And then who are they even going to go after? It's not just like illegal aliens, like a lot of them being Mexicans and Guatemalans and so on. Because the Haitians that Trump lied about, they're eating dogs and cats and geese and horses or whatever the hell he was talking about. They're legal aliens, but they're trying to retroactively make them illegal. Which, I mean, that's just crazy to me too. Like you try to retroactively make people illegal.
Okay, well, you said a lot there. First thing, tax cuts. Again, elections have consequences. I don't agree with this, but yes, Republicans are going to do this. They've always done this. They've always done this. So there's no real argument there. Yeah, they're going to do it. Like, sucks, but elections have consequences. It is what it is, right? Yeah, fight against it. Fight against it. Of course, fight against it. The second thing what was the second thing you brought up? You said
the military and the deportation.
Okay, yeah, we need to increase the budget to ICE. I don't understand how anyone could argue that we need to have secure borders. Yes, secure the border. People should come into the country legally. There is an illegal immigrant crisis in America, specifically in sanctuary cities. It's true. Like, it's not make believe. It's true. These people in this video have even brought it up. Yeah, you need to get them out. I'm sorry. You need to get them out.
But there's a right way of doing it.
Yeah, there's a right way to do it, and there's a wrong way to do it. But unfortunately, there's millions and millions of people who have been allowed to come into the country illegally. Do I think you should use the military? Probably not. Maybe we should increase ICE and what. But you need to get these people, especially the gangs. You need to get them out. And and conveniently, the people in this video, minorities. I've made this argument to you. These immigrants are going to minority communities. It's not a coincidence.
Yeah,
it's not a coincidence.
I think because it's probably cheaper. Too.
It's cheaper. They're not in Midtown. It's not a coincidence. Yeah. They need to get them out. And then the Haitian immigrant thing, I haven't heard anything about retroactively. I know there are a lot of illegal Haitian immigrants here as well. They are. I don't know anything about
Ohio. are legal. Like that community are legal. And Vance mentioned the form. I forgot the form, but during the debate, the VP debate, Vance mentioned the form and how he wanted to kind of retroact, and since then he's talked about it too.
Right.
They basically want to retroactively make them illegal.
Is he talking about if you're a child of an illegal immigrant, then your child is no longer has citizenship? Is that what you're talking about?
No. I think it's more about asylum.
I need to look into. I don't know anything about that. I have heard, and I agree with this. To be honest, like if you came to the country illegally, unfortunately, and you had a kid, and that kid has citizenship, you would have to convince me that it's wrong for them not to be a citizen, because nothing in the Constitution or any of our amendments have ever said that an illegal immigrant who has come to the country, who's broken the law, who's had a child, that child is now an American citizen. I think specifically it says, well, I don't know for sure, but it definitely doesn't say illegal immigrant. Like they broke the law. And like I have known people who have had the DREAM Act and whatnot. Great people, like very good people, but there's an issue right now. I'm just gonna be honest. Like there's an issue, and whether you're an anarchist and you're like, oh, it's stolen land. I've had conversations with people about that as well. Guys, like, just be realistic here. Like, do you want anarchy? Or do you not want anarchy? Because if you want anarchy, sure, it's stolen land. Let everyone in. It's all chaos. Ooga booga. You know, whatever, right? But if you want a country and you actually want to have borders, you have to have secure borders. I'm sorry. Like, it has to happen. Like, anyway, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Rethought out. And let's just start this whole thing over again.
So interesting. So Tashina there at the end is like, burn it all down.
Let's start it all over.
Get rid of all the Congress. Like, just let him do whatever he wants to do.
No more presidents. We don't have to work anymore after
Why is this guy still there? I thought he was done.
Yeah, this guy's creepy.
So we can all retire.
Shut it down. Yeah.
There was so much that was interesting about that, though. I mean, surface level, the reasons match a lot of what you see in the polls. Like, oh, immigration was important. Oh, inflation and the economy was important. But there was so much texture there that was really different. And the other thing that came across to me in watching these voters, and like you said, some of them were more like high information, more tuned in, and some of them were less engaged in the day-to-day news cycle, which nothing wrong with that. But in both respects, with Trump and AOC, what they really have in common, more than anything else, is star power.
Yep, New York realness.
Huge name ID, huge star power. You know, so you had the one woman saying, like, I just hear about AOC all the time.
Sure.
You know, so I feel like she must be doing something because I hear her name a lot. And I do think that speaks to one of the things that's been absent from the Democratic autopsies that are going on is like Trump is a celebrity and controversy has served him. And the fact that his name is in front of you and in the news all the time. And AOC is also this sort of controversial celebrity. And in a certain sense, that really serves both of them and is probably the model for politicians that both parties need to follow going forward.
100%. And not only that they're like...
You know what? That's kind of what we were talking about with like the whole celebrity thing, but it's John's story. It's not AOC. Got to get rid of AOC. Got to get rid of...
I just don't know, because you're more on Twitter and stuff. I pretty much just use Reddit, YouTube, and that's about it. Like, what is the left's problem with AOC?
The left's problem?
Yeah, like with her baggage or someone who might vote blue, like a blue person or an independent. Like, why would one of them not like AOC? I get why a Republican wouldn't.
Well, I told you, but that's the thing. You would consider. I don't think you consider that person blue. You consider that person Republican. I told you it's the whole woke stuff, the whole like pronouns and all that stuff. I'm telling you, like
was she big into the trans issue?
Yeah,
like,
especially into the pronouns thing, and like she was one of the ones, and like I like AOC. You know this, right? But she was one of the ones that was pushing the whole pronouns thing. And I'm telling you, it pushed people away. It did. And then after the election, I don't know why, I can look into it, but she removed the pronouns from her profile on Twitter. Like the next day. Like why did she do that? To me, that comes off disingenuous. That comes off as she didn't really believe this. She didn't believe it. She was pushing an agenda. She was doing an identity politics thing. She's like, oh, that didn't work. And so she removed it. So like, okay, red flag. She didn't believe it. And then even if she did believe it, I think it's terrible. The vast majority of people do not believe in that, subscribe to that. Like, what's your name? I'm going to call you by your name. Like that. And anybody who pushed back on it, and she did this as well, they were a bigot. They were a fascist. Like this has been constant. And I'm telling you that people are getting tired of it. And believe me or not, it's a contributing factor to the way that they voted. I'm telling you.
I agree that I would consider myself a left winger, but I agree the left can't go too far. Like, I mean, I don't completely align. Like, I'm very much an independent thinker too. Cause I don't completely align with some of the like immigration stuff or gun stuff, or even like I've had non-binary explained to me. It still doesn't make sense. So yeah, I mean, some stuff that you know I either agree with it or I don't. But I can. You know, just because I can 90 AOC and I 90% agree with each other, so I'm going to focus on that 90% rather than that 10% where we just might disagree.
That 10% has been, and I know you don't want to do this, but you should get on Twitter. Get on Blue Cry too. Get I don't care. It just
seems like a cesspool. Like
it is. But I told you this. Like it is, but I generally believe this. You need to be everywhere, even if you think Fox News is right wing, which is this. Watch a clip every now and then because you need to see what everyone is talking about.
Like in the radio, I used to listen to Rush Limbaugh. Then I forgot this other guy that's in the area. I forgot his name. It's like Van something. It's like a German sounding name. It always sounds like he needs to blow his nose. But yeah, I listen to him if I'm in the car sometimes.
Right. So I'm telling you, you don't have to follow anybody on Twitter. Just make a Twitter account and just scroll. Just scroll every now and then just look at trending. I'm telling you, especially when it's political season ramping up, that trending tab will tell you what people are thinking. And even though some people are leaving the app, and I'm going to Blue Cry, and I'm gonna call it Blue Cry forever because it's funny, right? It tells you what people are talking about. But you have to understand, again, and you already know this. Yeah, it is a cesspool. Like it is. They're all cesspools, you know. But
yeah, it's like Reddit. It's exactly spotless. So yeah, I even though I will watch a video and people talk about Reddit like it's just like the scum of the earth. I'm like, excuse me, like there are YouTube comments and there is Twitter.
Freaking like, Redditors, man.
Reddit is at the bottom of the toilet.
It's down there though. It's down there. Well, you a Reddit mod? Please tell me you're not.
No. Mod of what?
I don't know.
I watch like basketball, video games, and like just silly stuff. Like I don't use social media for the most part to as you mentioned earlier, to be an echo chamber or for this and that. Like I just use it for entertainment.
Right. So I mean that's just the way I see it. You know, with the whole AOC thing. I do think those people, including myself, I'm not a Republican. I think I am center left. Like I literally am, especially as I've gotten older. And I think a lot of people go through this when they mature or get older. I'm like fiscally, quote unquote, conservative, but socially liberal. And I don't think that's really going to change. But do I think tax cuts should be going to the rich? Hell no. But I understand, again, elections have consequences. If it's up to me, I'm trying to win. I want to win to push those progressive policies. If you got 10% negative feedback on you, and it's the same, and that 10% is the thing that the Republicans have been pushing on you forever, there's the door. Leave. Get out. Like, I don't want you near me. I'm here to win. Like, you are here to lose. Like, clearly, and history is showing that they're going to lose. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Celebrities, but that they were real and they were fighters were the things that I kept hearing over and over again. Not only that there was like a star status to them, but
what they were fighting for wasn't that important. It was just like, I feel like they're going to get in there and they're going to do something.
And oftentimes I would ask them like, well, you know, I know AOC and Trump fight for very different things. They have very different opinions on things like immigration, but they didn't really care because they knew that both these people were passionate and they fought for what they believed in, which they just didn't get a sense from people like Kamala and other Democrats. And it seems like they almost just respect that more, even if it's like not, even if they disagree on a certain issue.
Yeah, that's important. And also what they believe in fundamentally in the minds of especially casual voters who don't spend their days thinking about this is helping the country. And to the point that you brought up, that can be very different things. But if they believe that you have their best interests at heart, then they just sort of have to put the trust in the candidate that they ultimately go with. And they're not super partisan or ideological. So I thought that was really helpful, Griffin. I wanted to get your take on immigration because this is not exactly a very...
One of the points they're saying here is be authentic, which I think is probably Harris's was one of her biggest weak points, because she, like I said before, you don't know which Harris you're going to get. Are you get the neoliberal Harris, or you're going to get the quote unquote progressive Harris? And I think I think she knew that, or her people told her that. I think that's one of the reasons she avoided Rogan and avoided doing a 3-hour interview, because you can fake it for like 20 minutes or maybe 30 minutes, maybe if you're really talented 45 minutes, but you can't fake it for 3 hours. Like I think she, even some things she said, like I cook collard greens in my bathtub.
Yeah, that's
like,
ridiculous.
Like what are you talking about?
Fake. Totally fake. Like, yeah, but I think her whole candidacy, to be honest, was fake. I think she was just manufactured and just yapping, to be honest. Like people telling her what to say.
AI
made
her.
Like nothing about her was
but
believable.
AOC does feel real. Trump, in a way, Trump feels weird. I think Trump isn't even as right wing or Republican as he pretends to be. Like he is this trust fund baby from Manhattan.
Yeah.
Like so this idea that he's that he recognizes the plight of the working man and these people in the Midwest and in the South is kind of crazy.
Maybe I get what you're saying, but maybe he does. Because when he first ran, what was he saying? He's like, it's all rigged. He's calling out Hillary. This is what really, why, like it or not, why he caught on with people, especially those blue collar voters. It was like, the system's rigged. They're all against you. And the reason I know this is because I partake in this. Like I've used the tax code. And so, yeah, it clearly it resonated with people. So maybe you're right, but I think there is a part of him that's there that he's like, and people believe it, whether you like it or not. It's like, he knows what they're doing. He knows what's up, and that's maybe why they voted for him.
Doing it. He's going to continue it.
Hey, man.
The richest man,
we'll see.
That's one of the things that bother me, actually going back to the whole celebrity thing. Like the richest man in the world, at least that we know about, maybe some, Saudi prince is richer, but Elon Musk is right there by his side, being his little Robin, being his little cheerleader. Like, why do you think the richest man in the world is there? Like, this is not some populist. You can't have a populist movement started with the richest man in the world and Trump, who's a supposed billionaire, which maybe he is, maybe he's not. Like I always thought it was weird he never put out his taxes. So I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't quite a billionaire, but he just wants the billionaire title. But yeah, these two billionaires aren't leading a populist revolution.
The only reason Elon is there, the only reason he's on that side is because, again, I've got to bring it up again, is woke politics. That's literally his thing. That's literally all he talks about. And like, I disagree with some of the stuff he says, because he has allowed Twitter to just become a cesspool of racists. It's true, but he's like, what did he say? That the left killed his son or whatever, like because his son's like trans or something, right? So he's like all on that wave. Like that's his whole thing. And yeah, it has resonated with some people. And so, yeah, and he's taking advantage of it. So I don't think for him, at least, I don't think his thing is so much populism of why some people who like him or like his political stance. I think it's more of he's in that whole woke world, anti-woke world or whatnot. But
so you need the tax cut, you need that matter.
Oh yeah, no, of course that matters for him too. But I'm saying like his real, I don't know, like where he's really gotten a foothold is in that realm. To me, that's from what I've seen.
I'm sure that's a part of it, but I do think the tax cut and getting more power. Because like, would Harris give him a tax cut? Maybe. Would Harris give him a position in the government or similar? I don't think the Doge department is like literally a government agency or anything like that. But would she have given him Doge? Hell no.
No, of course
give
not.
Him a tax cut, maybe.
But like of course, that has something to do with it, and of course he's going to try to take money to like put into like his companies and get contracts. He was just recently talking about like drones and F-35. Of course, like let's not be naive. Of course he's going to try to do these things like that. That's obvious, but I think that's part of the game at this point. There's not much you can really do about it. If I was a billionaire, whether I'm on the left or the right, and I buddied up with the person who just won the presidency, I would do it too. Like who like seriously, who wouldn't? Like, yeah, take advantage. I guess I don't know.
White district, and that mattered a lot to these voters, contra the media narrative about how it would be turning many people off, and Donald Trump would be dead on arrival, especially with non-white voters because of the immigration issue in New York City. You're a New Yorker. That did not at all turn out to be the case. What did you hear?
Yeah, it was really interesting because it seems very almost localized of an issue. You know, I live in like central Brooklyn, and you know we don't really hear a lot about the immigration issue. But where AOC's District 14 is, it's a little bit of the northern top of Queens, and then a large part of the Bronx. And up there, it just really seems like the immigration issue has affected them a lot more. And I was really curious after talking to all of them, because all of them would bring it up as like their number one thing, that their streets didn't feel safe anymore. They talked a lot about 57th Street, which I guess is a big intake center for immigrants. So I did some research, and in the last 3 years, almost 250,000 immigrants have come through New York City.
Crazy.
Currently, right now, as of August,
In the last 3 years?
In the last 3 years, about 250,000. But currently, right now, as of August, there's about 64,000 in the city being housed in like hotels, intake centers. They even have like an old airplane runway where they have some of them. And Mayor Eric Adams has been trying to do a lot.
Another fighter.
Yeah, another fighter, another New York real one.
Another patriot.
But you know, Eric Adams has been doing all sorts of things across the broad. Like Eric Adams, he recently traveled to Latin America to hand out flyers about how expensive New York is, so you shouldn't come. And so he's trying all sorts of strategies.
Istanbul is?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, some geography lessons. But like they also, what I found out recently is they have this new rule for sheltering, where you can only stay in the hotels now for 30 to 60 days, and then you have to apply to be able to stay in, or you get kind of dished to the street. And I think that's where we're seeing a lot of these women, these voters, noticing a lot more people on the streets now, because they're not in the hotels anymore, because after that 30 days, they're now in a tent on the sidewalk
so there's
somewhere.
more visible sort of disorder.
And they're linking basically anything to those immigrants, any crime, any gang activity. They're kind of just immediately linking that to the immigrants. And yeah.
But it's a sanctuary city, right? So that's where people,
Yes,
if
you can
people are
apply for
on the
asylum.
streets, right? So if people are on the streets, they remain on the streets. That's, unless there's like housing, to your point, that steps in.
right.
And all of that, which seems to also be frustrating the voters.
Yeah. And then to the military deportations part, which I wanted to ask them about, you know, because that seemed to be just a big kind of national talking point about, will Trump use the army to bring people in? And the core thing to them was they weren't really scared of that, because they were really sick and tired of it. And it seemed to me that it was pinned on that they found the NYPD to be incompetent and unable to handle these issues, which I kind of don't blame them. I mean, as a New Yorker, I mean, you see these.
I can't believe I'm agreeing with the guy with the fake mustache. Yeah.
Undercover cops.
This is what we're saying, man. Like, this is true. This is so true.
Cops on the subways, they're mainly going after like ticket fare people and on their TikToks, you know? So
it was funny because that's something that you would never, from a top line analysis, you would never get the texture of that, like, oh, they're like anti-police.
Right.
And that's why they're like, I guess you got to bring in the military because, and it is true, if you poll institutions, one of the institutions that has the highest level of trust in the country remains the military. So that logic is really interesting and not something that you would sort of guess from the outside, but does, from their perspective, make some sense. The reality of what that might actually look like may create a different impression.
Right.
But coming in, that's not a non-starter for them whatsoever. The other thing that was really noteworthy and that did not turn up as much in the, surveys about why people voted the way they did is that all of these women seemed concerned about war. They seemed concerned about Gaza in particular. The one woman who I'm blanking on her name, I know when you first asked the question, she said, like, basically peace. That's what I'm most interested in.
I believe that was Nazia, yes.
Nazia,
and she was the most informed. She'd been really paying attention to almost all of the politics for about a year, so she was the most informed. But all of the women were aware of this. None of them were like, what's Gaza or what's going on there? Like, everyone clearly has been seeing some glimpse of what's happening and not liking it.
Yeah, and so if you're,
So I have
the Democratic Party,
little aside here. So when they were talking about the military helping with the deportation, this is a deep cut, but it made me think of a Battlestar Galactica quote. Did you watch Battlestar Galactica?
Not really. That was like the one I didn't really get into.
Oh, okay. It wasn't like super sci-fi. It was pretty gritty and even all the stuff, it was on the Sci-Fi Channel. But anyway, the Adama, who's like the main guy in charge, the president wanted him to have the military be the police for a little bit. And then he said this quote, and I've always liked it, and I think it's true in this case too. He said, there's a reason you separate military and the police. One fights the enemy of the state, the other serves and protects the people. When the military becomes both, then the enemies of the state tend to become the people.
So I literally was just thinking this just now. I was like, it's very dangerous. Like, you look at any country where military police, you know what I mean? Like, they're usually like look at Colombia and Venezuela and El Salvador. You know, their police are very militarized and they're literally called the military police. Like, the police are like the military. It's bad. Like, it's bad. However, in that quote, would you say the military is meant to do what? Say that quote again. Fight the who?
I'll put it in chat here.
The enemy, was it the enemy of the state? I personally think that any Venezuelan gang that's here is the enemy of the state. And they need to protect the people. Yeah, they got to go. There's a reason you separate military and the police. Totally agree with this. One fights enemy of the state, the other serves and protects the people. When the military becomes both, then the enemy of the state tends to become the people. 100% agree. 100% agree. However, this is why when we were talking about like ICE and the border and whatnot, I think they need to increase the number of officers or whatever that we have in ICE. I think this should be, and this is why some people don't like them, but they need to give the money to the board. That border's our guy. I forget his name, but they should be in control of it. Yeah, because it's poor optics to have the military roaming the streets of America, kicking in doors and hunting immigrants, whether they're MS-13 or Trinidad or Aragua or whatever it's called, you know, whichever one. It's horrible optics, and the risk of it becoming the what is it, that the people are becoming the enemy of the state or whatever. That's horrible. I wouldn't want to see that. I don't think anyone with a conscience would want to see that. So I do think,
and we're talking about what, 10 to 20 million people too.
Yeah,
not like we're talking about 1,000. Like, we're talking about tens of millions of people, and something I'm not sure if Latino voters got it is that Trump wants to get rid of everybody, because there've been some interviews kind of like this where they talk to Latino voters who voted for Trump, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I have a cousin who's undocumented." Like, well, you're not worried about your cousin getting deported? Like, no, he's not a criminal. Like, well,
those people are idiots. Okay. I agree with that. No. But I agree. I think the illegal immigrant and the criminal, the cousin got to go. Like, what do you want me to say? I'm sorry.
They don't know that.
Oh, they're stupid. They're just because stupid. I don't tell like that. Whatever. I don't control their brains. If they want to be stupid and just be naive, that's on them. There's stupid people on both sides. I do say though, because we do have an immigration. There's been an immigration crisis in our country since we were kids. Like, it's always been a joke. Oh, the Mexicans came over the border. Oh, the Cuban came on the what is it, the tire? You know, like, this has always been a thing. But it's a problem. Like, and it's gotten significantly worse. So unfortunately, I'm sorry, but yeah, some people are going to get deported, and I agree with it. It's an issue. And like, this is a little bit further into that, but I do think this is even a more major issue when it comes to the border and immigration. There are quote unquote terrorists and Chinese and Russians who are coming across the southern border. They don't have our best interests in mind. That's not a conspiracy. That is true. And if I'm thinking about me and my family, if I'm thinking about me and my family, we live here. So unfortunately, I'm sorry. Yeah, we have to defend ourselves here. Yeah, so no, like, something needs to be done. And yes, like the South American immigrant or the Haitian immigrant, and especially the violent ones or whatever, yeah, we need to get them out. But yeah, we need to find these Chinese. We need to find them. We gotta find them. No, for real.
That sentence. We
need to. No, serious. That's not a conspiracy. You even just admitted it. Like, think about it. This was my enemy, and like, I'm an enemy of America. You really think I'm not about to send some agents to that border? Like, come on.
Kamala Harris, trying to position yourself as this moral authority, that really undercuts it. And whether or not it's true that this wouldn't have happened under Trump, clearly his talking points had broken through with these voters, whether it was ascribing all crime to immigrants, when, you know, the stats will tell you that undocumented immigrants actually commit far fewer crimes than native-born Americans, but that talking point had landed and connected and was being repeated. And the talking point about, hey, if Trump was there, I don't think we would have had all these wars, that also had clearly landed with them. And it was funny to me when you asked them, like, do you think that Trump is anti-war? And one of them was like, I don't know, but, maybe it would be different.
To that point, like, these women, like, some of them were like, oh, Trump's a role model and stuff, but they were also very clear-eyed about who Trump is and the likelihood of him fixing all these problems.
Yeah.
Essentially, how they saw it was they knew Kamala was like a known quantity, and they knew she wasn't going to do anything to fix these problems.
Right.
They weren't sure if Trump was really going to fix these problems, but they knew Kamala wasn't. So they're like, well, let's just roll
Take
the
a
dice
chance.
again. Which is funny because like Trump has been president
That's
before.
true.
You'd think he'd be more of a known quantity, but to them still, he was the dice roll gamble of maybe something different, but none of them were sure.
I agree with that.
Because
Mustache's
for me-
point there.
Yeah.
Like,
We're gonna call him Creepy Mustache for the rest of the video.
like Trump is he's not the current incumbent, but he's like the former incumbent. So and something that got brought up in a lot in debates and over the last few months is like, oh well, if Harris wants to do this, why is she doing it already? Well, why didn't Trump do the new stuff he's talking about between 2016 and 2020? Like something new that I heard him say, and this is when his poll numbers were down and Harris was up before the convention, all that other stuff. Like he said he was going to legalize marijuana. I only heard him say it like once or twice. I doubt he would repeat it now that he's won. But like, does anyone actually believe he's going to legalize marijuana, or as far as like the tipping, not taxing on tips was a new one. Does anyone actually believe he's not going to tax on tips? Like, why?
He might.
For anything new he's saying, why did he do it his 4 years?
Well, I don't know. That's a good point, but I don't remember him talking about not taxing on tips or some of these other things before. So maybe it's a new policy, but he might. But as Creepy Mustache just said, it's a dice roll, and I do agree with that. Like they think, and I think rightfully so, because this is the incumbent. They're not going to fix these issues. Like she's not. But roll the dice, and Trump is saying he's going to fix it. Let's see if he's actually going to fix it. So I don't know.
Many people, voting is seen as like a civic duty. You do it even if you're ambivalent about the candidates. What sense did you get of why actually some of these women chose to vote? I mean, we saw, I think her name was Margaret, with her baby that she was hanging out with while you were doing the interview. These are busy. I mean, these are busy people. Everyone is busy. They have an option to not vote if they're ambivalent. That's something that's like totally understandable and common. Like if you don't think either of the candidates is great, you just sit out the election. It sounds like even with some of this ambivalence, these mixed feelings about Donald Trump, actually went out and voted anyway.
Yeah, they were just desperate, I think, for
change.
Just change in a large sense on a few different issues. We didn't have a ton of sound bites in this footage about the economy because I could sense that sometimes people feel a little uncomfortable talking about the economy, whether it's kind of a morass of an issue to kind of have the right words to describe it. But people just felt like things just like weren't working for them. Things were getting more expensive. And 3 of them, I believe, were actually mothers. And I did ask them all about the child tax credit and under Biden that they all received. And they spoke of that really fondly. But at the same time, they were, they're Republican voters. They didn't want handouts. They just wanted things to be more fair.
Yeah. You hear that a lot.
You got a little taste in there. You asked, okay, would you vote for AOC for president?
Yeah.
Is that something you'd be open to? And one of the women had this response that was like, well, I'm not saying women aren't equal to men, but, maybe she needs to do a little more work. Were there any comments that
was in the video? I didn't
about
see that.
Kamala Harris and
Yeah,
her
maybe she's all
gender?
about
Was
her
that important to them?
version.
Was that a positive? Was it a negative? Did it not, was it indifferent? What was your sense?
So there was a lot of talk about misogyny, but
Misogyny.
I don't feel like any of them were misogynist, but they viewed the foreign policy and working with other foreign leaders and them being misogynistic to women. And so that it would just be naturally harder for a female to be president and deal
that's silly.
with all these men of the world, which,
fun.
isn't like maybe technically that false. Like, I'm sure there's some misogynistic world leaders.
They had kind of a clear-eyed view of the world. Of like, well, I'm not sexist, but sexism is a real thing that exists.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe, we gotta have a man in there so that he doesn't have to deal with that.
Totally.
Effectively.
Absolutely.
I
funny
think a
that
lot of Democratic
Mexico-
primary voters.
We got a female president before we did.
I don't think it's fun. Honestly, like the whole male female presidency thing, I don't think it matters. I think eventually someday we will have a female president. I don't think we need to be like, we have to have it. It's her turn, glass ceiling stuff. Like I think I might have told my mom this. honestly, I think if it was today and the candidate was running, I told you this too. I think it was gonna be Tulsi. Like I think Tulsi has the best shot out of any of the mainstream, candidates who are out there right now who have some sort of name recognition. Is her. Like, who else would it be? Maybe Michelle, but I don't think a lot of people like Michelle Obama, to be honest. Like, maybe, but I don't know. I think we focus too much on that, to be honest.
Yeah, I've never cared about.
Yeah,
I've never cared about the demographic stuff all that much. It's with Mexico being like so Catholic, so they're kind of conservative, and then kind of like
right.
The machismo culture too.
Yeah,
like I wouldn't like if you said France had a female president, I'm like okay, or Norway or Finland, but Mexico wouldn't be at the top of my guest list.
Okay, I get you.
This has been my prediction, is like they're never gonna nominate a woman again for a similar reason of like, well, I'm not sexist, but I think the rest of the country is.
Because Trump beats women.
Loop, right? Where if you believe it, then you feed into it as well.
Yeah.
But they also always talked about how Trump was so good with world leaders that world leaders just like to get along with him, and that was his like secret sauce to like stopping wars. And they all mentioned like there just wasn't that many wars when Trump was around. And now there's a bunch of wars, and the Democrats don't seem to be anywhere near stopping all of them. And there doesn't seem to be a clear reason to these voters why any of them are happening.
Yeah.
They just think there's no reason. There's no reason. We don't understand why they're happening.
Yeah,
And
interesting.
I know this is zeroing in on one part of New York that's not like a lot of the rest of the country, but in many ways it actually is like a lot of the rest of the country, because if you look at that Washington Post map that we were covering all night here on election night, you saw movement towards Trump in many, many places. Now, Trump still lost a lot of counties, but there were big swings in places like New Jersey and places like New York. And there was also a lot of ticket splitting, even places like Florida, where the abortion referendum, it didn't hit the 60% threshold, but it got really close. It was like at 56%. So you had a lot of people voting for Donald Trump and voting for abortion to be in the Constitution of the state.
By the way,
of Florida.
that's bullshit.
That
What she just mentioned.
What was it? I might need to play that again. I didn't get that.
She's right, but what happened is BS. Basically, in Florida, they had an abortion on the ballot, but it has to hit 60%. It can't be 51%. It can't be 52%. It has to hit 60% or higher, which is just crazy.
I think it's always been that way. I think it's not just abortion. I think most amendments are like that. I think they have to hit 60%. I don't think it's like 51. I think honestly, is that what she said? Democrats. If that's what she said, that's true though.
All of them.
It's true.
And there doesn't seem to be a clear.
And so she said it hit what on Florida?
Washington Post map that we were covering all night here on election night. You saw movement towards Trump in many, many places. Now, Trump still lost a lot of counties, but there were big swings in places like New Jersey and places like New York. And there was also a lot of ticket splitting, even places like Florida, where the abortion referendum, it didn't hit the 60% threshold, but it got really close. It was like at 56%. So you had a lot of people voting for Donald Trump and voting for abortion to be in the Constitution of the state of Florida. That happened all over the country. So I think, Griffin, it's just important to say that, yes, while a lot of the country looks at New York in particular as this sort of like alien world, like it's Mars, this is something that happened with voters everywhere else.
Wow.
Absolutely, yeah. And none of these voters are like white men. You know, like three-quarters of these were mothers. They were all working class women between their 30s and 40s. And yeah, they just...
Really? None of the bros wanted to talk to you.
Yeah.
None of the bros.
The mustache man.
Oh, him? They say he's... Wait, I got to rewind it. What did he say?
All those women between 30 and 40s.
And yeah,
oh, in the video.
None of the bros wanted to talk to you, Griffin.
None of the bros.
The mustache man. They're like, this guy's
they going in on his mustache.
The bros.
Alpha.
But yeah, like these women were, you know, although some of them had some things that you might not agree with Trump about, whether he was a role model and stuff, they were just all very clear-eyed that, you know, why not? We'll see what happens, because right now things just aren't working for me. And I thought it was just so interesting when they talked about like Kamala versus AOC, because they just felt like Kamala just didn't really stand for pretty much anything. They just were open to thinking about her and just seeing like what she had to say, but they like couldn't remember or think about like what she was all about in the way they felt that way about AOC. And I think it's a testament to it's like, I think they could vote for a Democrat at some point. If they were, and even if they didn't agree with all the same issues, because it seemed to be like a core thing of like respect. Like I respect that you care about things, that you're passionate, that you're not hiding who you are, and those things seem to surmount like any of the individual issues because they all love AOC.
Yeah, and that's been my thing is like I think that a lot of times liberals look at politics in the wrong way, like thinking that you can just go down a checklist of like our issue set is more popular if you poll it than their issue set. When
Crystal ball's
that
right.
sense of like this person's a fighter,
Yes.
this
Right.
person stands for something, this person isn't just like pandering to me. They're gonna get in there, and they're gonna mix things up.
Hold on,
Those
Chris, slow down.
personality traits,
Speak my
and
language.
that energy
What
and
the
that
hell?
celebrity, frankly, I think is also really important.
Is Crystal? Is this live? Is Crystal Ball listening to me? This is what I've been saying. Like, what the hell?
kind of the common thread that connects why you would vote for Donald Trump and then check the ballot for AOC. Great job with these, Griffin.
They
This
all
was
love
really
Liz
interesting.
Cheney, though.
Oh, well, I mean, that's a
Anyway.
uniter.
All right, good job, creepy mustache. Anyway, so do you? Well, I guess you don't fully agree with what the ladies who we interviewed, their positions on why they voted for Trump and AOC. You don't agree with it, but I get some of their positions. I don't think it's far fetched, but I do think that you need to actually listen to them, understand why they
I get
did
the
it.
emotion. I get the anger. I get the frustration. Like things are kind of working now, but things aren't quite working the way they should. Like they say the economy's good, but our dollars don't go as far. Like I get all of that. It's just he's not the answer. Trump isn't the answer.
It's a dice roll.
I don't think
You only got two
Harris,
options.
It was a great answer either, but I think she was a better answer than Trump.
They didn't agree, so they're taking the dice roll over fake wine mom Kamala. That's all I'm saying. They're taking that over anything. So, like I said, man, only history would tell. I personally don't believe any of that stuff is going to happen. The stuff we talked about earlier, but who knows? You know, who knows? Let's see. Anyway.